Hey everyone, welcome to Life Her Podcast. I have Kimberly with me, and she is such an amazing woman. She has an amazing testimony that will help many women that are having difficulties of conceiving, of having a child, seeking a surrogate, or even IVF. So she has all the answers. She experienced a lot in the past throughout the years of her life. And this will be very refreshing for some women that lost faith into wanting to become a mother, or they just fallen into some sort of depression or anything when they're having these difficulties. So hi Kimberly, how are you?
Hello, Yvette. How are you?
I'm
Good to
doing
see you.
good.
Good to
Well,
see you.
good to see you too. Thank you so much for being on my podcast tonight, sharing your amazing testimony.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. So please, we're just going to start off in the beginning so everyone gets to know you and how did you get where you're at today. So what was it like growing up?
Oh God, like for me, growing up, it was a pretty normal childhood. I mean, it was, I had a number of siblings. I'm the oldest of all of my siblings. I always say I'm the youngest, but yeah, I'm the oldest of all my siblings. And we had a great childhood. I think they would also agree that, we did. I mean, we had the same problems other people I'm sure have, but at the end of the day, we were blessed.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
amazing. So as time progressed and you got older, and I know you end up getting married,
Yeah.
during your first marriage, how were things as far as your first marriage?
Um, they weren't they weren't good. I'll tell you, like I think because I met my first spouse when we were at church, actually. You just think like, oh, this must be like, once they approach you, this must be the person for me. And, sometimes, that's just not always the case. And so I was married for 11 years, and it was filled with a lot of ups and downs, but a lot more downs. I will say, which is why clearly we're not together anymore. Um, you know, there was emotional abuse, physical abuse, drug abuse, like every kind of abuse, and so it made for a very difficult time. And then on top of that, I was not able to carry a child to term. So, it was just a lot on us on the marriage, and it didn't survive.
Yeah, I saw that you suffered multiple miscarriages. What was that feeling like when you actually just experienced your first one?
I will say that, I mean, it was heart wrenching because you're so excited, and so from the moment that you find out, you're like already in love. Okay, you are like, okay, I cannot wait to meet this person. And from that moment that you find out, and the thing about the 21st century, I guess I'll say, is that you can immediately know, like, a couple weeks, like, okay, I'm pregnant, even if you would not have known. It's like, oh my god, I know there were two lines, or it read pregnant. And so you're so excited, and because so much earlier. And I it just when it happened, it was just a shock, because I just assumed that I would go on and have children. After all, my mom, she had 6 daughters, and
Right.
today's her birthday, by the way. And my mom, she had 6 daughters, and a breeze. And then me being the oldest of those daughters, they've gone on and they've had children, never a problem at all. And yet for me, it was just a very different story. So, yeah, like the first time it was very hard, but second, third, fourth, fifth time, it was still very, very hard. And I think the later terms, like the sixth and the fifth months of pregnancy, those were gut wrenching for me. It was on a completely different level. And so, yeah, I mean, it was hard. I can talk about it, with ease now because I really believe that I've just been healed in terms of my emotions. But there was a time that this would not be a conversation that I could even have with you.
Wow. So during that time frame, when did you actually was like, okay, I need to figure out what's wrong. Why do I keep having these miscarriages? Like when you started figuring out taking next steps of actually seeing a doctor and start testing and everything.
I think that early on, I like after the first miscarriage, early on, I do remember, seeing the doctor just, to find out like what's going on. But it's like, okay, if you haven't tried for more than a year, then they figure, okay, you're fine, just, relax. And
Mhm.
I did conceive again, but then it was a loss. Conceive again, and then it was a loss. So um, after maybe the third time, where you're talking to your doctor and he's just like, okay, or she, it's just like, okay, well, maybe let's check you for lupus. Let's check you for, like, it was so many different things. They wanted to check, test me to find out what was going on with me. And I didn't have any of those issues. But ultimately, okay, so ultimately they told me that after I was pregnant and I went to the 6 month and I lost the pregnancy, then there was a diagnosis of an incompetent cervix. So
Mhm.
it was just said that, okay, you're going to have to get a stitch for the next pregnancy. Like, unfortunately, a lot of times the woman loses the pregnancy and then they know. And so I went through that next year and I got the stitch. I'm all excited. And yet it happened again. So,
Wow.
that, yeah. And so, there's so much emotion there. It's raw. It's just
Yeah.
complete, um, you just, so much pain. And so, I, dealt with it, but, then you have to just move on and say, okay, this is just not what God meant for me.
Right. So when did you like during that period of time were you seeking or having any counseling during that time? Because that's like really rough.
It's very rough. And yes, I did. And I think that especially like within our community, talking the African
Yes.
American community, we don't seek help. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm having a hard time. It's okay. And so I did. And honestly, it was not that I really sought her. I will be completely transparent in that my employer, after, like, I work for insurance. So working for insurance, they can even, can see all your claims, they see everything you've gone through,
Right.
okay. So it was a call that was made to my director, and it was said to her that, we really, we don't see any like EAP or like claims in terms of, you know, uh the issues that your employee has been going through, and they recommended that I see someone before I came back to work. So
Wow.
I was really, I mean, at the time I was like somewhat offended, and I think probably because it's like, okay, what are you trying to say? Am I crazy? But in hindsight, it was the best thing. So yeah.
Wow. So
Mhm.
was you working in insurance, a lot of women are they not educated enough to know too much of what insurance could cover and what they can't cover. Can you elaborate on what how the insurance work and what do they cover and not cover when you're trying to conceive as far as IVFs or surrogate or just even you know taking types of medication to help you get pregnant.
Okay. So honestly, I will say first, it really depends on your plan.
Okay.
It really depends on your plan, because there are some plans, very rare, that will include IVF. It may be like 2 rounds of IVF may be included, or fertility medications may be included. But I will say that the boatload of policies,
Mhm.
they do not include that. So a
Wow.
lot of times when you're having to go that route of IVF or IUI, or whatever it is that you're trying to you need to go through, it's out of pocket. Now, the one thing that insurance companies do typically cover, I won't say all, but for, I would say it's a standard for the most part,
Mm,
is that the diagnosis. So, like, let's say you are, you're finding that you're not able to get pregnant. And so you're going to the doctor. Well, your OB, he's going to run tests. He's going to do this. He's going to, do the dye through the whole nine. You're going to do all that. Well, that's going to be covered because that's going to be falling under, we can help you to, find out the issue, but not after. At that point it moves into another realm, and that you're going to be adding a dependent to the plan, so they don't want to pay for that.
yeah. And that so
Mhm.
with that, as far as women dealing with PCOS, so they will is that something different or they'd be able to help you with that?
They absolutely can help you with anything having to do with fertility. You're going to find that going to your OB is going to help you, and but once you have exhausted everything with your OB, then you would have to go to an RE, which is a reproductive endocrinologist.
Oh,
So that would be your next and best and final step, to go to someone who, that is pretty much all they do. I mean, with your OB, you're going to have other issues from, ovarian to, whatever. But with a reproductive endocrinologist, their goal is, helping you to reproduce. Thus the name reproductive endocrinologist.
right.
Yeah.
So
I
after
cracked
you
myself up.
so after you dealing with so many emotional challenges and physical challenges and spiritual challenges, you end up getting married again.
Yeah, I did. I did. It's great. Yeah, I am. It's, I'm still, he's fortunate enough that, yeah, I'm still around. Yeah, no, I'm the lucky one. He's great. I'm the lucky one. I think I'm supposed to say that. I'm the lucky one. No, he's the lucky one.
So how did he take heed of an understanding of the things that you were battling, and for him to just be so welcoming and so supportive of you to even get through that?
Yeah, the thing about, my husband Dave, we met, like, he was, my physician, and the bad part is about it is that I was, I want to say bad part, I was on antidepressants. I was, I had gone through a divorce. Okay, so going through a divorce is like a death. So you
Yeah.
you go through that. It's very painful. And here I am moving to a new state, the whole thing. And so I'm completely open about the fact that yes, I had to take antidepressants. Okay. So when I saw him, it's like, you put down, like, you go to the doctor, it's like, okay, what drugs are you taking or whatever? And it's like, oh, do I even say that? But okay, he's gonna be my new doctor. So I write everything down or whatever. And so he knew, like, who, we talked about, that kind of thing, like, up front, but it was more medical kind of whatever. So as we finally, after years decided, like, we started dating or whatever, I had to share quite a bit with him. But the good part about it is that, okay, my husband's, like, a number of years older than me, so he'd already had children, and they were older. The girls, they were older. He'd already gone through that. I think the surprise for me was the fact that he even wanted to talk about, children or whatever. It's like, okay, you've done that already. So
Right.
why would that even be something that you would entertain? And so we didn't really talk about that much. Okay. We didn't talk about children and that type of thing because I met him when I was, much older, okay, I won't say much older, but I was older. And so he and I just figured, we would just have a great
Right.
life. I'm doing well with, my career. He's doing great. And we would just travel. And there you are. We would just, that's what we would do. And I guess, your plans can be, one set of plans, but, I don't have a different plan for you.
Right. Just like a whole switched up your life.
Yeah. Complete.
So when was that moment when you started trying again with your husband?
I will say that that never, okay, what I ended up doing, I told him what my past was, and that that couldn't be something that I wanted to endure again, because having the losses at such a late stage in my pregnancy, that was kind of like the icing on the cake. I cannot do this anymore. But
Oh,
what we I will say, because he was a doctor, I think part of it was like, okay, he was giving me that pep talk, and and not only just the medical part, but then also, he's talking spiritually, and he's, we can, do this, and the reason it didn't happen before is because you had gone through so much. And I kind of got on board with it. And so we went through the whole process of, like, the egg retrieval, the whole IVF piece of it. And it's just so, it was so difficult for me, I guess, as opposed to like a much younger person, because let's say they were like, oh, that we took 17 eggs or 35 eggs. It was like
right,
five would be viable because I was
right.
older. So it's like, it's not like, these eggs were just like, okay, please. So here it is. I'm going through all of that, and so I finally we get the viable eggs, and I did do the IVF one time, and honestly, Yvette, I was very happy that it didn't work, because
What?
again, it was never the getting pregnant, it was down the road. So even if I had heard that great news, now the fear steps in. Like, it comes in and it says, okay, here we go again, all right, you're gonna be, and so I was very happy about it. And once I really just kind of put my foot down and said, you know what, I can't go through this again ever feeling that way. At that point, I think we just decided, you know what, let's just live our lives. We're 100 years old. Let's just live our lives. There you go.
So you end up searching for a surrogate.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like it was okay. Anybody who is looking to use a surrogate, and I will say this one thing, shout out to my baby sister. When I was going through like the hardest part of my life, I mean, it was just absolutely horrible. And the losses, they were just, here we go again. Of course, families talk, especially, girl,
yeah.
girl, so my baby sister, she wrote me a letter, and
Wow.
she said that she would carry my child for me. And I just thought that was just the most beautiful thing ever. I mean, I think at the time, I don't know that I was like ready, but she told me that, like, after I had gone through so much, it was just such a beautiful thing for her to do that, because I was having this issue. And so I do make a mention of that in my book, The Colorless Womb. Okay. I do make a mention of that. And so um that was just awesome that she would do that. And so yes, I started looking for a surrogate, and it took years, like, to go through, because there were three different people that I had gone through for to look at surrogacy, and
Wow.
it didn't work out with any of them. And I will tell you that when I started looking for a surrogate, I mean, it's like you open this world of surrogates. I didn't even know that they were out there. First, you have to become comfortable with you even want to do
Yeah.
this, because I didn't want to do it. But it was really my husband who was very much open to it. So when we had to start looking, I said, okay, at least let me just see, like, what is surrogacy? Like, how does it work? That type of thing. And yeah, I mean, we went through that, and I don't know, it took a long time, and it took a long time, because if anyone ever is ever considering surrogacy, there are three things they have to happen. Like, you have to make sure that there is a background check. You
Yeah.
have to make sure that there is an emotional check. And then you have to make sure that they are physically okay. So there are once you go down that road, you will find that, your RE typically helps you set up that process, because you would have been going to a reproductive endocrinologist at this point, and they will, when you're finding people, if that's the route that you choose, they have to make sure that this person, is not, running from the law. They have to make sure that she is not going to run off with the child after the birth, and also that she is physically able to carry the term. And one of the things that they look for, like, you have to have if you have to have a surrogate, she has to have had children, of course, because they want a proven track record,
True.
right? Yeah,
Right.
so that's it. So yeah,
Wow. Did you ever look into adoption?
I did. In fact, when we went to the attorney, rather, who when we went to the attorney who ultimately helped us with the surrogacy, that was what we were going to talk to her about. Because after I made that decision that I just did not want to go do this, IVF stuff anymore, we had just moved on from it. And we decided we were going to just look for, go through adoption. And that was going to be it. And that was just where it was going to be. And, when we did talk to her again, because it was the second time that we spoke to her about adoption. The first time we talked to her about adoption, she turned us on to surrogacy when she found out that we had embryos. The second time we talked to her about adoption, she had this other person that we had to have this person, like, you give it one more try.
Right.
And, and so I did not want to, of course, after going through this, and this is like 4 or 5 years later. I finally said, okay, I will, yeah, I'll meet her. Sheesh, I'll do it. I'll meet her. And, because, Dave was on board, and, yeah, and she ended up being the right fit for us. And let me caveat this by saying I was only looking for, like, someone that I could kind of see myself through. So she
Right.
would be a Black woman. I'm just thinking, she just instinctively, culturally, she would just be a
Right.
Black woman. I didn't think anything of it. But not that she was biologically connected to my child, but, just for, I just that's what I just thought, and that's what I look for.
Yeah.
But the person who ended up carrying my son, she was white, and her name was Heidi, and she's amazing, and she has given me, like, the biggest gift that I could ever have, gotten from anyone. It's just, my son. And so, yeah, so it's like the reason that I decided that I was going to write this book, right, was not only because I wanted to talk about my surrogacy, but I also wanted to just hone in on the fact that no matter what you're facing, no matter what, troubles or trials that you've had in your past, no matter what it looks like, here I am, like an older, mom. And
Mhm.
it didn't matter that I was older. It didn't matter. It just mattered that I got the promise that I believe that God had spoken to me. And I am someone's mom, and, which, who can believe that? But I am someone's mom. And it's great because, I just, I had really given up. And so that's another thing. You've given up, you're done. You're like, okay, okay, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. But you just never know what's out there that's for you. And whatever God has for you, it's for you. And so I know it sounds, cliche, but that is the truth. If it's for you, it's for you. If he's promised it, it's yours. So that's that's always been, just something that I always want to make sure that people understand, that it wasn't just meant for, children. It's that job you want. It's that,
Yes.
that career, that, the school that you want to go to. It's anything that you want to be married, whatever it is that, that you want. It's like you will ultimately get the desires of your heart. And being a mom was definitely one of my desires.
Wow. That's a blessing that you receive your baby. What was the feeling like when you was just like, I made it through these 9 months?
Yeah.
I know you had was like a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah. I mean, that day, and like, I tried to capture it all, like when I was writing, like to capture it all. But that day, I still, like, sometimes, like, I might be in the kitchen or something and whatever, and then I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, this day, like, it could be, whatever, the date, and here we are, in the house, and I'm thinking about it, and it's like, oh my goodness, like 5 years ago or 8 years
Right.
ago, on this day. And so that moment was just absolutely incredible. I mean, it just, and I think it's just, it's so, you want to meet the child, absolutely. But now think about my dynamic, and that someone else has him at home every day.
Yeah.
She's holding, like, he's kicking, he's doing all, she, and the thing is, with an amazing surrogate, which I had, okay, this girl had an amazing surrogate. She sent me pictures. He could be doing,
Wow.
like, whatever. It would be tummy pictures, like,
Oh,
it was just, she wanted me to be a part of.
yes,
And
that
that
is
was
beautiful.
good, right? Yeah, it
Yeah.
was, she wanted me there, she wanted me to be in it, and so going through all of that, okay, and now I immediately, now here he is, I wanna get that bond that I know moms get from that whole 9 months. I wanna get that bond. So one of the things, and I, you know, I'm gonna say that I know, like, God is just so good in terms of how this, how the whole process worked, because when we finally heard him as he was coming down the hall, and here we are waiting to see this baby, he's crying, 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 and we go into the room, and they have you set up like like they you have your top off, like there has to be the skin to skin,
Right.
which is so awesome. I didn't even know that that was a thing. Okay, so I'm going, oh my gosh, like they're like, you have to have a gown on, and then as soon as they we go into the room, he, like, the nurse immediately, she says, okay, you need to move your, the gown, and then she laid the baby on my chest, and he just immediately stopped crying, and I was like, oh my goodness, like that moment was just because that was like our first moment, seeing ultrasounds, and seeing pictures of him kicking, seeing all that, that's one thing, but
Aw.
now at my touch, he just stopped crying, like, and I felt like, I'm hoping that he felt like, I'm safe. Of course, now he doesn't feel safe. He's like, okay, mom, you're driving me insane. What are you doing? But yeah, I just hope at that moment he felt safe. And it made me feel like I am somebody's mother. Like, it's,
Right. Oh, how was it like when you was just seeing him after bringing him home, and you just like, wow, like I'm really
I'm
a
a mom.
mom.
Yeah. I,
Like
I'm
this
I'm
is
a mom.
happening.
It you know, it was really great, and, I know people probably don't do this, but we paid someone, like my husband, he knew someone, one of the nurses at the hospital, and he had her come to the house prior to my son being born to show us, like, how to swaddle, and we were going, like, trying to, like, oh, using dolls and trying to, like, whatever, and of course, I have friends going, "You are really having someone to show you how to, like, tuck in a baby." I know. I don't know. I was very nervous. I was very scared.
Right.
You know, and I just, and I think it was because I didn't have all those months of kind of gradually
Right.
meeting
Yeah.
him.
Preparing
It
yourself.
was just, oh my goodness, this baby, he's living with me. It's like, and it's just, it was just strange, but it was amazing. And, I think you just learn instinctively what to do.
Yes, that is so true.
Mhm.
So, with you having a surrogate mother and she's white, what did you receive any backlash or negativity during the times when she was pregnant and you finally found someone, things of that nature? Did you go through things of that?
I did. I mean, what I will say, number one, with my family was so happy. And I will tell you,
That's sweet.
They were so happy because if you think about the fact that their sister, their daughter, their niece, had gone through all of these losses. She's in tears, everyone else has children, and here she is, the oldest. They knew me internally and everything that I had gone through. So it's like they wouldn't have cared if, a mailbox carried my son. They would have been like, oh my God, this is amazing. So they were just very happy. And I was very happy, but I did get, I will say, just a couple of people, like, acquaintances and, just random people who knew the situation, and it wasn't really something that was their cup of tea. But I say, none of us know, like, the package that our blessing is going to come in.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it may not be, Edris. It's like, you get somebody else, maybe it's Pee Wee Herman. I mean, it could be somebody that is not what you're thinking is going to be. And so you get a different package, and it could be with have me with a surrogacy, someone else with a husband, someone with a wife. I mean, it does not matter what package it comes in. That person who's going to bless you is going to bless you. And so there you go. That's it.
Wow. So when did you actually was like, I really want to share my personal journey and I want to help others, because I know you have a women's group now.
Yeah. Well, I think that when and I will tell you, when the country is like so divided. I mean, we know that it's just completely divided. And I think when it first became so obvious, and it was just, that there was just such a deep division, I thought that my story was unique and that I could talk about being patient, talk
Mhm.
about knowing loss, and trusting in what, whatever blessing is for you is going to be for you. But then also there was the racial component,
Wow.
right? And
Yeah.
so that component just made me just say, okay, because of the climate in the country, I thought it would just be well received and it would be a feel good, like a feel good, like, and then I think, top of this, look at this. We're going through COVID. Of course, that's when my book comes out. Like, why does it have to be during COVID? So
Right.
we're going through COVID. Everybody's just like, oh my goodness, whatever. And it was just during a time people were just like, okay, I'm coming out of this and I'm trying to just look for something that is just positive and good, because there's just so much negativity.
Mhm.
And so I thought it would be a great book, and it's been like really well received, and I really appreciate anyone who's purchased my book. It's been great.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Just starting it and just having faith, because when women go through things of that nature, they lose faith. Sometimes you may encounter
Yeah.
negative thoughts. Um,
Hmm.
you're so emotional, just crying on a daily basis, crying yourself to sleep, waking up, just
Mhm.
different things of that nature. And then it's like you just like, all right, I give up. I'm not doing this no more. So just for you to even go through all of those emotions and still take that chance, that last chance of you having a surrogate and not even knowing that she was going to be a Caucasian woman,
Mhm.
it's just the fact of the joy that I see you in
Yeah.
now is just such a blessing.
Thank you so much. It really is a blessing. I can't even, I can't even express it, just, my son and, people who know me. Am I, do I discipline at all? Like with my son? I'm going to go with no for 1,000, but I try to, I try, but of course my siblings are probably like, oh my goodness, grab him. But no, he's amazing, and
Mhm.
he can be a little sassy, but I think because I have just wanted this child for so long,
Yeah.
it's very difficult. Now my husband, on the other hand, he already had kids, so he's just like, okay, look, get over here, come on.
Right.
But so I let him do it, and now he's been great. I mean, that was like when he's early on, I'm putting him in timeout, and my husband's going, time out, time out, give me time in, get me the belt, I'm like, oh no, he wouldn't. I'm joking. I don't want him to get arrested. No, he never said that. Never said that. Yeah, I just I can't really get with I just can't, I might try, but I mean, he's just like, Mom, come on, you can't do it.
Oh,
So it's
right.
yeah.
Wow. So tell us about your women's group that you started.
Okay, so Moby, mommy older, baby younger, Moby. So it's a site that I have like on Facebook, and then we do some stuff privately too. In here in Atlanta, where we get together and do things. It's for women who are like 35 or older who became moms, and it could be like you became a stepmom, you had surrogacy, you adopted, whatever it is, you became a mom, and it's for those of us who are a little more mature, and we have younger children, so that's it. Mommy older, baby younger. So it's just more support because we have other issues. Like it could be like, I really want to run outside with my son and do like all of these things, but it's like, okay, my legs hurt. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to, you're older. Even though I will say for me, I do try to take care of myself. So I don't have those. I'm just kind of kidding. But yeah, I mean, it's just hormonal issues, anything like, okay, like, those types of things. But, you're an older mom. So it's a different set of challenges. And we address those things privately. We have talks and, so it's just things that pertain to us and like, where we are and what's going on with us. And so it's good. It's good conversation and, good support for each other.
Wow. So what would you tell a woman who is having difficulties conceiving and being able to get pregnant and just trying to find a way?
Mm. Well, I mean, the first step, of course, your OB, and then ultimately, if that's something where it has something that beyond what they can help you with, that would be to see a reproductive endocrinologist. But I would say to these women, like, definitely take the necessary steps
Yeah.
to find out and pinpoint exactly what the issue is. It could be fibroids, it could be, whatever it could be.
Right.
You want to find out exactly what it is, and then it's okay to kind of get help for that particular thing. I know that you don't want to just say to people like, you just have to really believe that you're gonna whatever, and I get that, and that's absolutely true. But faith without works, so you still have to do things and move in that direction where you're trying to help yourself. And so yeah, I would say pinpoint the reason. Now sometimes they actually have an unexplained um you know where they don't understand why, like what, nothing's happening. And at that point, I guess, when there's really medically and nothing that can be done, still that's going to be where your faith just kicks in on overdrive. And so yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing. um but yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of things that are hard, and we get through them.
Yes, we do.
Hmm.
And I really would consider counseling a lot for women because it is extremely difficult. And sometimes we don't seek counseling, but you won't know until you try it.
Absolutely. I mean, I absolutely, that is crucial, having the counseling part of it. And again, like we said earlier when we first started, that a lot of us don't tend to seek counseling, but it would be something that you should, consider. And then support groups.
Yeah.
You have people who they've either gone through it. This is a quasi support group where
Right.
you have people that have gone through something, and they're sharing, and they're showing you life on the other side of whatever your issue is. And those things, they give you hope. They help you to walk away feeling, much better about yourself,
Yeah.
knowing, right, that somebody else has gone through this, and you're not alone. And that's a big piece of it. That's a very big piece of it. Getting counseling, having support groups, and that's what
Mhm.
that's what that's what they need to do.
Yes, it is. So, with you having Doc, have you
Mhm.
wanted a second one?
Let me I am like 305 years old. No, I am not even thinking about kids. No, I mean, I have bonus children. I have Doc. So that is enough of that. No,
The
I,
doctor will
I
sort
have,
you out, huh?
yeah, no, I mean, look, please, no, I would not even consider something like that. Not even consider, not even if I won the Powerball, I would not consider it,
You
but.
it's like y'all done said a cuss word to you. That is hilarious because it's so funny. My sister has lupus.
Mm,
So she have my nephew, he's like
mhm.
22 now.
Okay.
So now that she's older, she's like 40. What is my sister 44 now?
Okay.
She has a 2-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, and wait, and what's wrong with that? What is wrong with
And
that?
boy, that baby give her a run for her
I
money.
know, but I will tell you. Okay, so my son's he's almost 10. I'm, 32. But, so here it is. No, I'm not. But it's like, okay, if you're one thing okay, I was always concerned, like, okay, I don't want to look like my son's grandmother. Like, please don't let me ever look like his grandmother. And I just think that I've tried so hard over the years to keep myself, like, in terms of working out and eating a certain diet and trying that. I think, of course, God sees the end from the beginning. So it's like he knew that I would be, older and have this younger son. Therefore, okay,
Right.
she will not look like his grandmother. So that's good. And so that's something that you think about, like, oh my gosh, and so, it's been a blessing, because I will tell you, there are people who they don't really know how old I am. Like, I
You
kid
look
around.
good.
Well, I kid around a lot, like, especially with my siblings. I'm the oldest. Of course, I'm like, oh my God, because, like, I have a nephew, he's 38, right? So we were talking about him. I'm like, oh yeah, he's 38 now. And I'm like, okay, yeah, oh my God, that's right, because he's just a few years older than me. So I'm like, oh my God. And everybody's just like, okay, you know what? Let her have it. Just let her have it. I
Right.
mean, delusion is, it's a gift. So yeah, just let her have it. Let her go with it.
Wow. So after so long of you just keeping this in and then a pandemic, you like, I'ma just write a book. Why
Yes.
were you hiding it?
I've actually, like, really have gone on, like, a lot of, like, different interviews, and I've done things. I will say though, being live with someone, that was something that I just, like, now I am not comfortable with doing that, because I just don't know what I'm going to say. And so it's just like, so I was just really out there. And I will tell you, like, a number of people who've contacted me, and we've had conversations, and it's been great. And I really feel like it's helping people, because the kind of questions that you're asking me, those are the kinds of questions that they ask me. And then there are other moms who are Mobies, mommy older, baby younger. So I'm talking to them. And so that's good. So, it's been great. So, I just, the live thing is just something that, I get very nervous with. Although my husband's like, okay, please. He thinks that I'm never nervous about anything. Yeah. but I do get nervous. You just, well, maybe you can tell, maybe you can't. I don't know, but I do get nervous.
That's okay. It's normal though.
Yeah.
It's normal. So, how can anyone purchase your book, The
Oh.
Colorless Womb?
Okay, first, that's great. The Colorless Womb. You can buy it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Apple iBook. And you can follow me also on Instagram at colorless womb underscore. Okay, so colorless womb underscore. And then on Facebook, The Colorless Womb. So you can follow my page.
Okay,
Mhm.
perfect.
Yes.
Do you also have a website as well?
I do, thecolorlesswomb.com, and you can see like a lot of my interviews are out there. Just helpful tips are out there, and then you can also contact me through my Facebook, through my website. I'm sorry, my website. Mhm.
Amazing. So, how far and what direction do you really want to go with this journey of sharing your testimony?
I will go as far as it will take me. I will. And I think, just to hit on one last thing is that, like societally, they just, people believe that, like women who look like me, we'll say black women, that, you can just have 4 or 5, 10, 12 kids, that it's just like, oh yeah, kids and the whole nine. But then there are people who they don't have kids. They're having struggles and they look like us. So for
Yes.
those people, I would definitely want to be a sounding board for them. And I have been over the past couple of years. It's been great, talking to
Wow.
people, so, and it's been other countries. It's been nice. And so just giving anyone hope, that if, we know like what he's done for us, he can do for you. So there you go.
That is amazing. You're going to bless a lot of women that are having these difficulties because a lot of times they feel like they are alone
Yeah.
because you're not really just out there in the community, just like, oh, hey, I can't have a baby. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time.
Hmm.
So, just with you just being out there, being live,
I'm being live.
you will be surprised how many women that will come across your
Yeah.
interview and they may be bawling in tears during the whole
Mhm.
interview, but
Yeah.
you help them and you're giving them faith to be able to keep going because the fact of you keep going, I applaud you. It is just amazing. It's inspiring, honestly.
Well, it's really good to hear that. That it's very good to hear that, and that's really what I want to do. Just be again that sounding board for people who have a hard time like me and know that they're not alone.
Yes, because that's a lot of things what a lot of us go through personally. We just like, ain't nobody going through this but me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's just not true.
No,
It's
it's
not
not.
true.
It is.
So yeah, yeah.
So, what encouraging words do you have for women that is like in the process of not having faith, but is still a little bit there?
Yeah. I mean, I would say to kind of, I guess, to those women, I guess what well I guess what I would want said to me, and things that were said to me that really helped me to keep going on is that, whatever is for you is for you. And I know that people say that, but it's the absolute truth that
It's true.
no one can take anything away from you that was meant for you. They just can't. You can delay things, you can, maybe dodge it for a minute, but if that thing is meant for you to do a certain thing, I mean, you have people who've been on drugs their entire lives, own businesses now and helping other people. Like what you've gone through, it's helping others. And so if it's meant for you, and the thing is, if it never happens, let's say, because sometimes, we pray for stuff and it doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen, I just believe that your heart will be filled with something else that will continue to have where you'll have joy. You can just continue to have joy because there are a lot of things that we want and they don't come to fruition
It's
and it can just really hurt you. But it's like you get healed in that area. And then you just find joy. It's those people who just decide, and I have to say, decide to just say, I'm just going to have a pity party over it. I'm just going to, I could have said, I have all these siblings, right? And,
Right.
baby showers. And what do you mean? I'm doing another shower and whatever. But when you're happy for other people, okay, when you're happy for other people, that can bring more to you. And,
Yes.
so having that right attitude, not giving up, having that right attitude, and knowing that if it doesn't happen for you, your joy will be made complete elsewhere. And that's it. And
Yeah,
so, I believe that. I believe that.
that is amazing. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being so transparent,
Yeah.
and you did it as a breeze. Because I know you were nervous, but
I was very nervous.
you
Very
did an
nervous.
amazing job, and you've helped someone tonight. I know you did.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So thank you so much for being on Life Her podcast. Everyone,
Okay.
thank you for tuning in tonight. I appreciate you all, and make sure you share this live and help someone else. Thank you.
Thank you.